Well, good morning and welcome to the 19th annual ULI Hines Student Competition. My name is Gwyneth Jones-Cody. I'm the president of the Urban Land Institute in the Americas region, and I'm speaking to you from my home in Washington, D.C., which is also the base for ULI's global headquarters. This competition is one of the highlights each year at ULI, not just because it's fun, but because it epitomizes core values of ULI: interdisciplinary learning and collaboration, best practice, and knowledge sharing. Perhaps even better, it offers a glimpse into how you, the next generation of city builders, are thinking about design and development and how our communities will change going forward. The incredible and evolving global crisis and city responses to it confirm the need for you, for all of us, to practice and maintain the collaborative skills you will be using for the next few weeks. In a normal year, we simply email the challenge brief to all students on the first day of the competition, which is how you find out which city you will be studying. This year, we wanted to try something different and offer a live introduction to the host city and to the people behind this competition. I will begin this webinar with a bit of information about the Urban Land Institute, then welcome Jeff Hines to give a few remarks. Next, representatives from this year's host city will announce and then describe the competition city and site, and then you will hear from members of last year's winning team. Gretchen Sweeney from ULI will conclude with a few logistical notes and a Q&A. We will email the challenge brief to all competitors after the conclusion of this webinar. ULI is an organization built on collaboration. In my role at ULI, I am responsible for the 52 district councils in North America, where our members deliver the ULI mission at the local level in activities and initiatives relevant to their market. This competition has been in 19 different cities, each year receiving incredible support from leaders and members in the district council in that city. And I'm responsible for our 65 US product councils, where members convene across markets to explore issues and share best practices related to specific development products and processes. We hope you will join the ULI network and turn to us as a source of support, both during school and upon graduation. We offer resources and a network of people and employers that can help you clarify and accelerate your career goals. ULI members have immediate access to industry experts, timely information, and cutting-edge research essential for making informed decisions. We offer courses and certificates at ULI Learning, online and on demand, taught by world-class professors who are among our members. This competition exists due to the vision and generosity of Gerald Hines, an industry legend and a ULI member from 1960 until his passing last year. Jerry was the chairman of the Hines Real Estate Organization, which he founded in Houston over 60 years ago. We miss him greatly and are forever indebted to him for his support of ULI and for creating this competition. We are particularly delighted that Jeff Hines has joined us to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much. It is a pleasure to join you this morning. I'm speaking to you from my house in Houston and apologize for the technical glitches. And I've got a lawnmower going in the background. So welcome to the world of doing business during COVID. So sorry for the glitches. Houston is the home of our global headquarters, and it's where my dad founded Hines. It all started with one warehouse he built for a neighbor in 1957. And today the firm is involved in real estate investment, development, and management in 225 cities in 25 countries around the world with over $144 billion of assets under management. It's incredible to see what can be accomplished through a clear vision, a passion for improving the built environment and our communities and cities, and a commitment to delivering the highest quality and value with integrity. In 2003, when ULI recognized Dad's contributions to real estate by presenting him with the ULI Prize for Visionaries in Urban Development, he declined the prize money and asked that the ULI use the funds along with his own generous contribution to create this competition. Dad felt so strongly about keeping it going that he subsequently endowed the program in perpetuity. His vision for the competition was clear. Design is critical, but the competition should be more than design, and probably of critical importance to the students. The cash prize should be substantial to each of the three finalist teams. $50,000 to the winning team and $10,000 to each of the remaining teams. Those components have made this competition one of the most successful graduate student competitions in the country, and one that challenges students in ways few others do. We are pleased that you chose to take part this year, despite the upheaval the pandemic has brought, and hope you find this to be a great learning experience. With the loss of Dad last year, this year's competition is going to be even more meaningful. He truly loved being a part of the competition each year and traveling to the host city of the finals, attending the presentations, interacting with the students, and absorbing the great ideas that came up in their presentations. The Hines family appreciates both how capably the ULI is carrying his torch of excellence and how future leaders in real estate and urban planning will continue to raise the bar in the built environment, as Dad hoped. Best of luck to you all. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Michael Collins, who will announce the host city.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, my name is Michael Collins. I've worked in real estate for 10 plus years and currently serve as managing director of J. Dunn Capital Partners, the real estate investment arm of J. Dunn Construction, which is focused on active equity investment and project finance solutions for commercial real estate, healthcare, and public-private partnerships across the country. More relevant to you all here today is that I'm based out of this year's host city, which is Kansas City, Missouri. I serve on the board as chair of ULI Kansas City, and we are excited to host this competition for this year. ULI Kansas City represents over 300 members across the Kansas City MSA. I've been a member of ULI for more than 5 years, and being a member has helped me gain more insight on the interconnectedness of the built environment within the city, the integration of urban planning, real estate, finance, and vertical development. This year, as of last, our district council focuses on 3 initiatives: equitable development, transportation, and public-private alliances. In 2020, we launched a 16-week webinar series called A City We All Can Afford, which is available on our website, that can give you additional insight into the challenges and opportunities we face in Kansas City. I look forward to seeing the results of your work. And with that, I'll pass it over to Lauren Cano.
I'm Lauren Cano, a ULI member based in Kansas City and a landscape architect. I became a ULI member when I was a graduate student at Kansas State University and participated in this competition. I was inspired by the competition to make an urban design project that is not only functional and responsive to its context, but to also make it financially feasible and driven by market demands. The competition brings together many elements of real-world scenarios and allows us to bridge the gap between design and real estate. Since then, I have continued my ULI membership as a way to connect with other professionals, take on leadership positions, and grow in my understanding of my own work. Now I'd like to walk you through a few quick slides. All of the information I will cover here is also in the challenge brief. Kansas City, Missouri lies just across the Missouri-Kansas border from Kansas City, Kansas, at the confluence of the Kansas and Missouri rivers. While the city proper includes 4 counties across 319 square miles, the metropolitan area spans 7,900 square miles across 14 counties in both states. Downtown Kansas City is a series of linked centers, generally running north-south, from Crown Center in the south to the Central Business District in the middle, to the River Market and Columbus Park in the north. Here you see the Central Business District surrounded by a circle of highways we call the Downtown Loop. You will be focusing on an area called East Village, which is in the east part of the Central Business District. Here the competition site and study area boundaries are highlighted. You can see the study area extends to I-70 to the east and Isles Park to the west. Here we've zoomed in the site, which consists of 25 parcels across almost 8 city blocks. These parcels total approximately 16.2 acres, excluding public right-of-way. Your proposal must address all parcels on the site. And this image from the 1940s shows the Central Business District from the direction of the competition site before highway construction and urban renewal efforts led to what exists there today, a swath of surface and structured parking with few buildings. That's City Hall in the middle in the foreground. And here's a view of the site today looking northwest. You can see City Hall again to the left and Interstate Highway I-70 on the right side. As you can see, it needs your help. The challenge asks you to create a catalytic vision and development proposal for a mixed-use, mixed-income neighborhood that will serve not only downtown, but the city and the region. And now I'd like to welcome members from last year's winning team whose proposal titled La Mezcla offered a bright future for a site in Miami, Florida. I'll let them introduce themselves and offer a few insights on how to best organize yourselves and how to get the most out of the competition.
Hey everyone, I'm John Hong. Just wanted to start off by congratulating all of you for taking on this competition. The ULI Hines case competition was definitely one of the single most challenging and holistic learning experiences from graduate school, and not only experiential learning, but more importantly from a collaboration perspective. So submitting the case in and of itself is something to be extremely proud of, and this case will give you a lot of actionable experience to talk through your interview processes. So quick background on myself. I was an urban studies major and economics at Vassar College. I wrote my thesis on the 421A affordable housing policy in New York. And since graduating from Columbia, I've joined Silverstein Properties in New York, and I'm on the deal team responsible for structuring and underwriting real estate equity investments for the Silverstein portfolio, which is anchored by the World Trade Center. So we focus on the development of complex mixed-use projects, as well as the acquisition and capitalization of trophy properties across the country. We recently closed on the $430 million acquisition of US Bank Tower in downtown LA, as well as a development site for 400 luxury units in Seattle, adjacent to Amazon's headquarters. My role on our case team was I was responsible for the pro forma, writing the narratives and overviews of the project, and then also a lot of research to substantiate the various programs and underwriting that we had for our project. In terms of tips, I think the biggest thing to focus on is to figure out what you're building as quickly as possible during that first week. Dedicate the majority of the second week to presentation. You shouldn't be making big decisions in the second week, adding new buildings or plazas or changing your program. Remember, I think the important thing to remember is that what you're trying to accomplish in 14 days takes professional firms months of diligence and research. And you could have the best ideas in the country, but if you can't clearly present and communicate those ideas through your submission, then it doesn't matter. Successful development is a compromise between perfecting creativity, but also acknowledging the feasibility constraints around the project. I think the second big piece of advice that I want to harp on is to actively communicate. So if you're increasing affordability or adding a new programming concept, make sure that everyone on the team is comfortable speaking to why it's included. One of the biggest reasons I believe we were successful is because we were able to substantiate our ideas with research on tax credits, market trends, where the capital markets were. For example, you're proposing 1 million square feet of life science in the market, you should understand where the existing supply is and be able to reference rents and absorption rates and potential major tenants and investment institutions. Good luck and congratulations again for taking on this case.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lucik. I am a recent graduate of the Columbia University MS Real Estate Development Program, and before that, I graduated from Pratt Institute with a bachelor's in architecture. Since graduating from Columbia, I joined Korea LLC in the role of acquisitions associate. We are an affordable housing investor. We do deals all over the country. So this competition was truly a highlight of my graduate school experience. It's an intense 2 weeks, but well worth it. It definitely is the proudest moment of my graduate school experience. Since graduating, I've also stayed involved in ULI. I am on the WLI Communications Committee in New York. In terms of tips for the competition, the key to being successful is to really understand your local community and to really understand what the urban fabric adjacent to you is made up of, what are the local jobs, who lives there, and what are their wants and needs. So you want to be sensitive to what types of jobs will be appropriate. You want to create a development that looks like it belongs there. And that was in fact one of the greatest compliments we received during our presentation is that our developmental mescla looks like it belongs in Miami. The second piece of advice I would offer is to really understand the logistics of how you're going to work through the competition. Sequencing of tasks to make sure that everyone is working in the correct order, so no one is sitting around waiting for other people to deliver information. It'll help save you time in the long run.
Hi, my name is Matthew Mitchell. I got my undergraduate degree from New York School of Interior Design in the Upper East Side in New York City. And then I went to get my Master's of Architecture from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. I'm currently an architectural designer at EDG Architecture and Engineering. I'm working on various projects there from ground up design work to advanced fabrication processes with 3D printers and other things along those lines. As far as the role I served on the team, I was one architect. We had a city planner and 3 real estate developers with various backgrounds, 2 of which have just spoken. I think, one of our biggest strengths, as the team has alluded to, was kind of our diverse backgrounds, but and how we came together as a team. I think it's really important to kind of embrace your role within the group, and know that there's so much work to be done in the 2 weeks. You really need to focus on finishing what you're set out to do. In that case, I just mentioned that there's a lot of 3D modeling work. It wasn't taken on by just one of us. We had 3 people in the group who had skills to able to do that. So I would encourage getting on that work early and often, and breaking it up. In addition, expect to leave enough time just to discuss the design and have enough back and forth for your team, so that you can really dive into all the issues and be on the same page when it comes to modeling. As John mentioned, changes in the second week can be really negatively affect your schedule and that output. So try to get those things ironed out and leave enough time to discuss those matters in the first week. And yeah, good luck to all the teams. And with that, I'll hand it over to Gretchen to wrap things up. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gretchen Sweeney, and I manage the competition here for the Urban Land Institute. And I also run a number of other global and national awards programs for the Urban Land Institute. And I just wanted to give you some quick stats and some logistics on the competition. And also we can have a quick Q&A. I think most of everything that you'll need will be in the challenge brief, which we are going to release by 12:30 p.m. today, Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. But I'll go over a few things that are different this year because of the virtual environment we're working in. So a few quick stats first. In the years since this began, the competition has reached over 1,900 teams. So that's more than 9,700 students at over 100 different universities in the US and Canada. And we've had 360 students who've made it to the final round, including the 3 you've just heard from. We also have had thousands of real estate and design professionals advise teams. We're always very thankful to that. Many of them are ULI members. So we hope you've lined up some great advisors for this competition. This year we have 110 teams registered, so that's 550 students from across the United States and Canada. And for the first time, we have a full team from Singapore participating. While this competition does draw primarily students from the US and Canada, it is open to students around the world. Last year, ULI in Europe launched a version of the competition specifically for students in Europe and the Middle East, North Africa region, and they're going to be holding that version again this year. So you may see the ULI Hines Student Competition Europe. That's referring to the version that is being hosted in Europe. So as I mentioned, we're going to get the challenge brief out to you today after the conclusion of this webinar. We will try to share it. We will send it to all team members, and then we will try to share it with your faculty and professional advisors as well. I know a few of you are still adding advisors. You're welcome to do that through the end of the competition period. Just email us their contact information so we have a list. So there might be some advisors who don't get this as a team. Please make sure your advisors get the challenge brief if they don't have it. And then we are also going to put it on the website. You'll see a link to it later today. And that website is uli.org/Hines, where you got all the information about how to apply. We will also send a recording of this webinar once it's made available to us. That'll probably be later in the day. And if we can, we'll send a transcript. I know we are using closed captioning. It's not always 100% accurate. So if you need that or need a transcript, just let us know. If you could, please put questions into the Q&A. I see a few people are doing that already. And I see we have a few questions also in the chat, but I'd prefer it if you could put them in the Q&A, please. So one thing I'm noting again is that when you get the brief, you'll probably have most of your questions answered. So I'll probably answer questions selectively today just to keep this under 45 minutes. But there will be a Microsoft SharePoint folder that we will link to from the brief. You are going to find most of the information you need, the brief itself, a pro forma template, information about the specific parcels, various reports that we can't just link to online. You'll find all of that in the SharePoint folder. And so if you have any trouble accessing the folder, please do email us at the regular email, hinescompetition@uli.org, and we'll get that sorted out for you. It's a shared folder. And so of course, don't edit the folder. I think you do have limited editing permissions, but we have everything backed up. And also we didn't have trouble with it last year, but just a reminder that this is a shared folder, and please be fair to your competitors. Another reminder too, you'll see this in the brief, but you should not contact anyone at ULI about the competition unless you already have an established relationship with your district council for some reason, but you really shouldn't be contacting anyone at ULI about the competition or asking them any questions about the competition. The only place you should ask questions is hinescompetition@uli.org, and we will do our best to respond in a timely manner. Anytime we answer a question that is relevant to all the competitors, we will post the question and our response to it in a Word document in the SharePoint folder. So if you ask us a question, you aren't getting like special secret information for your team. We respond to everybody via that SharePoint folder. And you should not contact any of the government agencies or any of the organizations involved in planning for the site or the region. There's more information about that in the brief, but we're very serious about that, and you can get disqualified if we hear that you've done that. So for those of you who are faculty or returning participants, we always have some returning participants from last year. You will note a few changes this year. The first big thing is that our jury is not able to meet in person to review your big printed presentation sheets. Usually we have you mail those to us. So we've adapted the deliverables to this new totally virtual jury review. So we are not requiring hard copy submissions this year. You don't have to print anything. Please don't mail anything to ULI. There's nothing to be printed or mailed to us. We are still requiring that you create a large format presentation board, but you only have to send us digital copies of it. And we have a few different versions, print quality and web quality, etc. And we've actually given you some flexibility in the size presentation sheet that you can create this year. So it's been a standard size for a long time, but we're offering a few different sizes. That means, you could probably you could choose a larger size, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have more information. It just depends on how densely you provide that content. So to make review easier for our jury, we are asking that you create a digital slide deck as well. And you'll see all of the requirements for that slide deck, what it should include, and how it should be formatted in the challenge brief. The final change is that we are asking you to input some data from the summary sheet of your pro forma directly into the award platform in the submission form. So you will need to both upload your pro forma documents and also input some data from the pro forma into individual fields. This may be a little tedious, but it's going to help our jury do a little more comparisons across pro formas than they were able to do in the past. So the submission form will be available tomorrow at uli.org/Hines 2021. That's the same link where you submitted all your application data. We urge you to log in as soon as possible tomorrow to make sure that you can see the form and that you understand what we're asking you to do. It's the first time we're trying it, so please, if you have questions about how to use it or you see any technical errors, it's good to just test that early on. Please don't log in at the very last day to figure out what the form is asking you. Do it early, do it as soon as you can, see what questions you have, send your questions to us. One other change is that our jury is going to be slightly bigger this year. That just helps them do the initial round review on fewer submissions. We will likely have another webinar to announce both the finalists and the honorable mentions. We don't have that date just yet, but it'll be the 3rd or 4th week of February, and we'll get that email out to all participants and advisors just as soon as we can once we've nailed down the date. As we've also noted on our website, due to the pandemic, we won't be holding the site visit or the finals in person. Instead, we will hold a video call for the finalists to talk to local stakeholders in March and ask their questions about the site. And then we will hold a virtual finals event in April. I think that's likely to be on April 8th. If you want to kind of put a tentative hold on your calendar, we will either record it or we may be able to allow all competitors to watch it live this year. That's what we're working on. But you'll see the dates. If you'd like to check back to uli.org/Hines, we will have the dates there. Okay, I'm going to address a few questions now. If you have questions, again, I think the best place is in the Q&A rather than in the chat. So let me take a look at those. When submitting, is there a format we must submit with? Yes, I'm just going to let you know when it's all in the challenge brief. And if there's something that's not in the challenge brief, I'll address that here. So the first question is, or second question, how did the teams manage the discussions in the first week online? I'll leave that question maybe for one of our winning team members to answer in just a moment. We have the webinar series link from ULI Kansas City is linked in the chat if you'd like that. And then we can also put it in the resources folder for SharePoint. Will you be given access to documents such as existing CAD drawings for the site? We don't provide a 3D model. You'll need to work on that on your own. I think that's another one of the questions. There will be GIS assets, and most of the GIS assets that we provide you, and I think maybe all of them are available publicly this year. So if you don't access them from the folder, we can indicate where to find them online from the city. We do not provide access to anything like CoStar or RS Means or any other data providers. We've looked into this repeatedly and we're not able to do it for various licensing and cost reasons. So we do apologize, but we are not providing access to any of those resources. And I think that's all the questions. Let's see. I don't know if John, you're still on. You want to answer the question, how did the team manage the discussions in the first week online? I think this is a change from last year because a lot of teams were in person last year, but maybe you can respond to some of the digital communications once we had to go virtual last year, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as Gretchen said, we were in person for those 2 weeks, and you know, I think that's definitely really important that to the extent possible, you have that kind of open dialogue with your team. I think something that we did kind of after we started going virtual a little bit, and what I would suggest now is just have an open Zoom room. If you can, or if you're not in person, then just have that open and leave it open during your set time slots. Call it 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. on the days that you're agreeing to work. And you know, that doesn't have to be, you know, strict boundaries. You can do other work while you're doing it, but at least that way, you know, I do that at work right now. I'll have open Zoom communication with my VP and we'll just be on for 2 hours and, you know, something comes up and you just start talking about it. And that's obviously, I think, probably the best way to go. And then obviously if you're following COVID protocols and you have a way to be in person to the extent possible, I think that would be much more helpful.
Thank you so much. Let's see, I've got one more question I think in the chat. I understand we cannot contact local stakeholders, but are we allowed to have short interview discussions with our school professors and classmates who are familiar with the subject? Yes, certainly. I think professors and classmates are exactly who we want you to be communicating with. You hopefully have your faculty advisor, of course. You're welcome to talk to any other faculty at your university or other universities. The real goal is to just we can't have local professionals or stakeholders fielding calls from hundreds of students. So please do consult with your advisors, just not, you know, the local folks in Kansas City. And let's see, one more question. Due to travel restrictions, will there be photos of the site provided? Yes, we do provide photos of the site. When you get the brief and you access the SharePoint folder, there will be a link to Flickr. And there are a number of geolocated images that we had someone take of the site that are a little bit more recent than Google Street View. So there are images of the site available. We also did aerial video and photos, so you'll be able to access those on Flickr as well. Let's see, I think. Any other questions? I think I've answered all of the questions in the chat and on the Q&A. So with that, I will just say thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to all our panelists. Again, I just want to note, you see here that the deadline, I think last year was Eastern Standard Time. We've moved it to Pacific Standard Time on the 25th. One thing to note about the deadline, and I can't reinforce this enough, you should start submitting your documents early. ULI staff we have a small staff working on this, and so you won't have access to us to ask questions after 9 p.m. if you run in 9 p.m. Eastern if you run into technical challenges. So a week before, 3 days before, 4 days before, please log in, start considering how you can upload documents and complete your proposal and hit submit as early as you can on the 25th. Do not wait until the last minute. You can submit until the last minute, but if you run into challenges, we will not be available to assist you after 9 p.m. Eastern. So the deadline for Eastern is what? That's about 3 a.m., right? Okay, I think that's all. We'll make sure you get the recording of this video. Thank you again to all of our panelists, and good luck, everybody.